to the Hollywood Raw podcast, your number one source for all political news. I'm Dax Holt. That's Adam Glyn. Let's jump into all the election results. Fuck that shit. That's not us.
That is not us. Only we stay far away from politics. Reason is Dax is not legally allowed to vote. He hasn't voted since 1997 after an incident happened. So legally, he's not allowed to vote. As for me, the last time I voted was for Chloë Aiken in American Idol season 2. So, and we know how those results went. So this is what we're screwed with. Honestly, dude, really interesting, unique celebrity news week. Reason is the election obviously took over the news cycle. Yep. And I just know, like, I'm part of like this publicist like message group, and they even said we're not even pitching this week. We're like, it's not even worth trying to promote something. It's not worth doing anything.
There's no websites, there's no shows that are covering anything else right now. That's why we're here.
Yes.
Because we have to cover the really important stuff going on in this country, and that is celebrity gossip.
Exactly.
Right? Like, come on, that's what people really want to know about right now. Our escape from politics.
And thank God for people like Kristin Cavallari that are taking advantage of the slow entertainment news cycle this week and just putting herself out there again. It's so funny what she's doing, but I'm not knocking it by any means. She'd be like a fun friend. Yeah. I think she's a very pretty girl, but it's
she's done a good job of keeping herself consistently in the news for the last, I don't know, 20 years, and for not really doing that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's done some reality shows. She's, married a super famous football player, but like she still stays relevant, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, she's very good at that. And we have a story about Kristin Cavallari in our Raw Rundown. That's what today is. We give you the top 10 stories of the week. How do we pick the top 10? How do we pick the top 10 stories? It goes by Google search. It goes by data. And lastly, it goes by our personal opinions. But ultimately, it comes down to the data, what people are clicking on in the world of entertainment news. Just like any news outlet out there, they have we've always said this. And if you're a first-time listener, they have a screen in every single newsroom, and they're watching what people click on. And they feed into the stories that people are clicking on. So we have the data of what people are clicking on. So we will give you the top 10 stories of the week, so you know everything that's going on in the world of pop culture. All right. Before we get into it, Dax, do you have a review ready for us? Because that's what we do. We read reviews to give you some love because you showed us some love.
Yep. All right. This one comes from Gemma's grandma. It looks like 5 stars. It is titled Two Great Guys. I love all your shows, especially the Friday show. I always look forward to them. Keep up the good work, with a beautiful heart emoji. I love it. Thank you, Gemma's grandma. Oh, I got a fun fact for you.
You okay?
Today is the 19th year anniversary since TMZ launched. Can you believe that it's been 19 years since TMZ has been around? Like, it doesn't feel like it's been around that long, but that's like, I remember day one, literally the day TMZ launched. I was there for it. And it was all around this story about Paris Hilton and Stavros Niarchos, her boyfriend at the time. Like, TMZ wasn't actually supposed to launch for another, I don't know, like month or something. We had the website was going through all this like beta testing, and they were designing it and getting it all ready to go. And then Paris and her boyfriend, they were in the car after coming out of a club, and he crashed her Bentley into the back of like a parked semi. Do you remember this story?
I do briefly remember this story, but was it because you guys had this story like, hey, let's just go now?
That's exactly what happened. So Harvey decided, you know what, this story is too big to hold on to. It was an exclusive video. So he's like, starting the website up today, even though we're not supposed to launch. And so when you went that day, it literally was TMZ.com. It was like a blank page with one video player right in the middle of it. And Harvey was doing a voiceover over it. And then they handed out the video to every site. And that is literally what launched the TMZ.com website. And then obviously it spawned into this mega source of information where they had the TV show was like a year later, we started doing that. And then, there was 2Fab, there was a tour bus, there was TMZ Live, like so many things spawned off of this website that, had I known at that time it was going to be the biggest thing on the planet and change my whole trajectory career, like, you would have had to pinch me because it was so crazy. But what a wild ride. So I actually, funny thing is, I, for people that listen, maybe this is the first time I own a like over the top championship gear company. I make championship belts and custom rings and turnover chains, all this kind of stuff. I made Harvey a trophy to
That's
commemorate
cool.
the 19 years. Yeah, so it's got, he hasn't seen it yet. I'm going to take it up there here in a little bit, but it has TMZ on the top and it's got red columns. It's all black and red. And then it says 19 years of exclusive stories. And I put all the exclusive, big breaking exclusives around the base of the trophy. And it was actually cool because it's like going back in memory lane with, you know, that story and Michael Jackson's death. And like, I'm telling you, you go around the whole thing. Maria Shriver filing for divorce, Arnold's love child. I mean, it could go on and on, but I did like 45 different nameplates around the whole thing. And it was like stepping back in time. It was pretty cool.
Very cool. Do
So,
you,
what's up?
three questions to that is when that story broke, the Paracelsus story, did other news outlets pick up the story?
Oh, yeah. It
Okay.
became, it literally put TMZ on the map like the next day. I mean,
Interesting.
it was a brand new site. It was being launched with AOL, so it was still new. But yeah, a lot of people picked it up and instant credibility. And then, but then obviously I had to work very hard to really gain the credibility that it has this day. And that a lot of that came with the Michael Richards rant. It came with the Mel Gibson arrest, Michael Jackson. Like there were some huge milestone stories that made TMZ a household name. But it happened so fast, like
It happened so fast. All right, let's get to
So,
the Raw Rundown, Dax, where we talk about the stories that people are talking about all over the world in the world of pop culture. Let's start with number 10.
and I'll let you know how delivering the trophy goes next
Yeah,
week.
let me know what closet he puts it in.
This thing is cool. It does not go in the closet. Do
I
not put
believe
my
it's
baby in a
cool.
closet.
Yeah, do not put it. Yeah. All right, Dax, let's get to the Raw Rundown, starting with
Okay.
number 10.
Number 10, Liam Payne. This death investigation is rolling on in Buenos Aires. They are now targeting 2 hotel workers. I think last time we talked about it was 1 hotel worker. Now there is 2. There's more raids going on, but they're continuing their investigation to his death. And it sounds like 2 of these employees and a friend of the former One Direction singer are very much in the crosshairs of the police down there. So it sounds like they conducted the raids on Tuesday night while they were searching hotel lockers and of the workers, reviewing security footage from the hotel. You know, that hotel was Casa Sur Palermo. Well, TMZ is told that cops believe the workers had contact with Liam before the entertainer plunged to his death from the balcony of that third floor room on October 16th. And it sounds like the investigators identified Liam's quote unquote friend with the help of text messages from his cell phone, which they examined, and they're trying to see who sold him the drugs. They did not find, I guess, the friend at his home on Tuesday's raid, but they are definitely on the lookout for this person. And this is not going anywhere. And if you remember, a lot of the photos that were released from the hotel room showed a lot of drug paraphernalia, tinfoil. It looked like burn marks. It looked like a lot of white powder all over the countertops. I know that the initial autopsy results revealed that he had that quote unquote pink cocaine in his system, which is a pretty gnarly cocktail of drugs. It's got meth, ecstasy, ketamine, as well as a bunch of other narcotics. And so they were like, who the hell sold him these drugs? He didn't just fly down to Argentina and somehow take drugs with him. He had to have got them from down there. And so they want to track down and figure out who actually sold him these drugs at the time. So anyway, no one's been arrested or charged
Dax,
at this point.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but why are we hearing about the suspects? Like these people are not arrested yet. Do you find that kind of unique in this story that the people that they're kind of looking at investigating is becoming so public? Wouldn't you think an investigation would be a little bit more private or not
No.
put out there at this point?
Nope, because I think back about some of the big stories that have been broken over the years, even with, again, Michael Jackson. I bring that one up just because I was so deeply involved in it. But thinking about how all of his doctors became suspects, and we're talking about raids at Dr. Arnie Klein's office and Conrad Murray, and they're trying to track down Conrad and question him. Like every person in Michael's life suddenly became a suspect, and they're wanting to know more, and who's fueling him with these drugs or who's giving him prescription medications illegally. So I No, I feel like it's pretty normal when they're digging through an investigation. They're just trying to come up with new stories and figure out who is the next one that the cops are talking to.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. I just thought some of that stuff would go on behind closed doors, and then once they had more information, and if someone was actually arrested or brought in,
Hmm.
it'd be more of a discussion, more that information would be released to the public, not like this stuff. Like, hey, we're gonna look after Craig, and Craig's at home, like, okay, they're about to come to my house and check me out. Okay, so
I think I feel like it's pretty normal in a massive.
okay.
You don't hear it in the smaller cases, but something like this, any information is a new story online. So yeah, it all gets published.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what's the next steps though with this case? Like, do you think we're getting closer to finding answers in regarding the Liam Payne's case?
I mean, if they're raiding homes, they're trying to track down the person, then yes, I think we're getting closer. I wouldn't be surprised if, um, Liam's family wants more answers because, listen, Argentina, it's one of I listen. We got a lot of family members down in Argentina. My wife's whole family's down there, but I know that there's situations where the truth may need to really be unfolded, that it might not just come out easily. There's a lot of corruption down there, and so I wouldn't be surprised if Liam's family hires a private investigator to dig even deeper, that isn't tied to government, isn't tied to any of that, because it's very volatile down there.
Sure.
Okay, hold on. We got actually some big breaking news in this whole Liam Payne death investigation. This just posted on TMZ. It looks like three people have now been charged in this death probe, and that hotel employee that we were talking about is included in this. So it seems like Buenos Aires authorities have charged three people they believe were involved. Law enforcement sources told TMZ that they were charged on Thursday, and at least one of them is the suspect who worked at the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel where he died. TMZ reported that one suspect is described as, quote unquote, that friend we were talking about, who was in Liam's hotel room with him but left him there at some point before he died. That suspect has been charged with abandonment of a person before death. The second suspect is a hotel housekeeper who police believe likely delivered the drugs to Liam in a soap box. I guess cops have been eyeing that Dove soap box that they found in the room because only housekeeping staffers have access to the soap supply within the hotel. And then the third suspect is the alleged drug supplier who prosecutors say delivered narcotics to Liam twice on October 14th, which would have been 2 days before his death. The alleged dealer and the hotel staffer are both now facing charges for dealing. Prosecutors say they combed through more than 800 hours of hotel surveillance video after conducting multiple raids at the hotel and at the homes around Buenos Aires. So this is a huge update, and definitely not a conclusion in this case, but at least there are now three people who cops have brought in and are really getting to the bottom of what happened that day before Liam died.
All right, Dax, number 9.
Dr. Dre pushing back against accusations that he made a bunch of threats towards his former psychiatrist. If you remember that this doctor, Dr. Charles Sophie, basically got a temporary restraining order against him back in October, suggesting that Dr. Dre's words left him feeling unsafe. And this has been an ongoing legal battle, or at least a legal tension. And Dr. Dre is now trying to set the record straight, standing by his version of the events, saying that he never once threatened the guy, that yes, he said some kind of rude things to him via text message, but there was never any threats of violence towards him. And, I guess one of the text messages read, "What a little bitch you are." But it came from a mysterious number. And Dre is saying that, listen, that wasn't my burner phone. I don't need a burner phone. I can tell you shit to your face. I don't need to get a secondary phone to do this. So these court documents were obtained. They revealed that the music mogul also denied any connection to the fake FBI agents allegedly sending, I guess, getting sent to this doctor. And it just sounds like kind of a mess. But Dr. Dre is saying this is nothing. I had an issue with the guy. I did not threaten him whatsoever, though.
Doctor and doctor fight, Dr. Dre versus
Yeah.
an actual licensed psychiatrist. I'm curious what led to that point. Do we know what led to them kind of like, how do you just get into like a,
So I guess Dr. Dre and his ex-wife Nicole were counseled by this guy
oh, okay.
before their split, and then I'm guessing they still headed their separate ways, and maybe he was considering like this guy was no help to his marriage, and so going after him. I don't know the exact trigger point for why he disliked this guy, but maybe he just felt like it didn't help out his marriage whatsoever, and probably cost him a ton of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's angry, he's upset, but I give props to. This sounds weird, but I think it's kind of interesting that Dr. Dre did kind of go out and try to see a professional for help. So I get, because I think that's very says a lot about what type of guy he is.
Yep.
I will say this about Dr. Dre, and again, the facts are Dr. Dre seems like he's being honest as far as we know to a certain extent, because there's always his side, their side, and the truth. But he said, listen, I did get a few rough things, but I never,
I didn't take it further than that. Yeah.
I didn't take it further than that. I didn't make any too crazy claims. But
can we get onto the bigger story of Dr. Dre? Like, screw this lawsuit. No one cares about this. Can we get onto the story people are going to care about?
What? Tell me what. This is actually pretty cool.
That Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre about to release a new album together. This
Very
is
cool.
Massive.
Yeah.
So they are going to release this new album, Missionary, on December 13th. It is entirely produced by Dr. Dre, and it's the first all Dre Snoop IP since 1993's Doggy Style. I guess Sting is going to be on there, Jelly Roll, 50 Cent. So there's going to be a lot of people, but this is massive news that they are working together, this is going to be a huge album, I'm sure.
Jelly Roll's on it. You said Sting's on it. 50 Cent is rumored to be on it. It's going to be fun. But here's the thing about rap decks. When it gets to a certain age, does it get weird?
No.
No, you don't find it weird when old guys sort of rap?
They transcend age. They transcend all of it. It's Snoop and Dre, dude. Like, this is the combo people want.
I listen, I love Dr. Dre. Every album he's done for me has been a classic, from the Chronic 2.0 or 2000 to the original Chronic. I mean, these are like some of the first albums I've ever owned. Speaking of Dr. Dre, like Dr. Dre is one of those guys who, growing up, you were like scared of him.
Mm-hmm.
NWA, and everything that went out. Chronic. I mean, he was a gangster rapper. But when you actually, I've met him twice.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, he doesn't know me, but I got to like meet him, shake his hand, got a photo with him. The nicest guy. And it's crazy how like he's just a really nice guy. So when you hear him going have this back and forth with this psychiatrist, I'm like, man, that's just surprising, because I was very just surprised at how nice of a guy Dr. Dre is. Just personal.
Well, you're also the guy that said so many kind things about Diddy. So, I mean, what is that?
Get out of here. I never said it. I had nothing bad to say about Diddy. I had nothing good to say about him either.
You said he throws the best parties. You said that.
No,
you said you love dressing in all white and going to his parties.
To be more specific, I said he threw the best bar mitzvahs, not the best parties. He threw a great bar mitzvah. Shirley Temples were in pictures. You didn't have to get the glass. It was in a crazy, great bar mitzvah, if you want to be specific. Back to let's get back to the roll rundown with number 8.
Number 8, Artem Chigvintsev from Dancing with the Stars. How do you say his last name?
Chigvintsev. I don't know. I Chigvintsev. If I was him, I'd find a new stage name. Do like everyone else.
Let me actually try. Name. Artem Chigvintsev. Yeah, you're right. Chigvintsev. All right. Anyway,
just go by Artem.
Artem. So Artem lost out on, according to him, $100,000 following his domestic violence arrest, and claims that Nikki Garcia is actually the one that has the anger issues, not him. So he's saying that this whole arrest that went down in California, this was a month ago, back in, what was it? Was it early October? I'm trying to remember when all that happened. But basically, because of that arrest, because of the mugshot, he lost out on deals that he had coming up with social deals. I think also Dancing with the Stars. He just couldn't formally say that. But he's saying that all of that amounted to about $100,000 worth of stuff that he no longer can get his hands on. And so he is very frustrated with the situation. If you remember, they did all this investigation, and the DA up there said, we can't actually charge him. We don't see any evidence of domestic violence perpetrated by him, and so they dropped the charges, but it was already too late. There was a mugshot out. The news story went all around the world. He is claiming that she was the one that actually started the whole situation, and that she was the aggressor. He had showed off bruises and marks on his body, saying that she was the one that hit me, and that she was more concerned about her career over his career. And so when the cop showed up and she accused him of assault, they obviously arrested him. And he's just saying she is still out there working. She has not been affected by it. He is the one that is dealing with the backlash of this arrest, when he goes, "It wasn't my fault. I didn't start any of this. It's all her." I mean, this is, I think, a classic he said, she said type situation. But he said that she is increasingly angry, and she has serious issues, and that she needs to work on herself. I know that his big thing was that he lost, like, basically visitation of the kid for over a month, Mateo. And that was what he was most frustrated about. He goes, "I had to go for a month without seeing my kid. That's not fair. Like, a month without my kid is like, it's excruciating." So I guess he's now able to see the kid now that there has been some kind of custody settled. But again, very nasty, nasty little divorce. For a while there, don't you remember? It seemed like he was ready to patch it up, and now it seems like he's going full steam ahead of, all right, she's torpedoed it, I'm going to torpedo as well, and just move forward.
You know, this is a very interesting situation because he's not. I believe Artem in this situation because he did lose out on a lot of money. I mean, when
Mhm.
you think of Artem now, he has this stigma to him, and he was brought in. I mean, I guess he was arrested, but he was never convicted of a crime by any
Yeah.
means. But he was arrested from the incident.
I think that's what says the most, is that the DA did a full investigation and they couldn't find anything to pin on him, and said, like, there's no evidence of him committing any domestic violence. So to me, I really go, oh, well, maybe he really is telling the truth here. Maybe she was the one that was the abuser, and he kind of got the brunt of it. I don't know. It's a really
How do you
interesting court case.
It really is an interesting court case, and my question to you is, and this is like the weird part of this. I don't know if there's an answer, but how do you fix this situation? Because Artem did lose out on a lot of money. I think brands
You
still might
can't.
not want to work with him because there's still like
Yeah,
there's
the
that
stigma
guy
is
that,
there.
yeah, that label is there. I mean, he was arrested, and granted, fortunately, there was, and luckily there was no serious, as far as we know, that's all it was just an arrest. So they had to be
Uh,
separated. He obviously lost track. He didn't get to see his son
the,
for a month. But how do you
the
fix a
problem the,
situation like
the
this?
problem is, like, it's already like he wasn't found guilty of anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't he yes, he was arrested, but then when they go to charge him, there was nothing that he was charged for. So technically, he's already on the other side of it. Now it'd be up to brands to just go, okay, well, he wasn't charged with anything. We can move forward. He's still a good guy. But there's also, every time there's a news story, that doesn't help him out either. He needs to be like, Dancing with the Stars would have to give him a shot again back on the show, is what
Does
it
he
comes
deserve
down
to
to.
get a shot again?
I don't see why not. He wasn't charged for anything. Like, this is a domestic dispute where two people got into an argument. At the end of the day, yes, there was an arrest made, but nothing happened. So I feel like Dancing with the Stars should almost stay out of it. Okay, well, nothing happened. So if he's a good dancer, if he's a good character on your show, have him back on.
Let me ask you this, Dex. From reading the story, we don't know what happened. Does does this change the way you think of Nikki Garcia, formerly Nikki Bella? Do you think that, you know, she does it change your feelings on her that she potentially could have
Again, unless
blew the whistle
she is,
too loud or too soon?
if she was charged with something, then I would say, okay, like, this is all her fault. But
Point a
you
finger.
can't really point a finger until some more evidence is brought forth, because I don't want to say yes, she's the abuser, or yes, he's the abuser, until there's something more. So
Well, Dancing with
for
the
the rest,
Stars is a huge
yeah,
deal for these guys. Let's be real. These guys are
huge.
dancers. Now, granted, you can go and do maybe camps or showcases somewhere. Now
Mhm.
that you are a little bit of a face and name, you have an Instagram and a social media following, so you can make money that way. But I would have to imagine a majority of his money came from Dance with the Stars, and that it's a great commercial for you and your brand. So
Yeah.
from that being taken away from really hurts his income, especially for child support. So I'm very
I would
I'm very curious how this is all going to plan out or pan
if I
out.
were one of these like dancers, you can't rely solely on Dancing with the Stars. Like it just will not last forever. They could fire you next week. You never know. If I were these dancing people, I would open up like a dance school and use your name to propel like a dance brand or dance clothes or dance shoes or something more so that you're not reliant on them. That's
But
what you
there's
have
only
to do.
so many Derek Huffs out there. I mean, who's the other? Has there been another dancer that's been really able to translate their career after
Yes.
Dancing with the Stars?
Yes.
Derek and
Julianne
Julianne
Hough.
Huff. Who else? Yeah, yeah, Derek and Julianne Huff. So
Yeah.
Derek's doing really well.
PETA
Julianne,
PETA did. I would say PETA Murgatroyd, she did a pretty good job.
she's she can
What
walk down the
about
street and nobody knows she is.
what's the woman we had on here? Brian Austin
Oh,
Green's wife?
oh my God. Oh man. Wait. Oh, she was really nice.
Yeah.
She was cool. Not the
What
other
is her
one,
name? What is her name? Oh my
but it's your
god,
friend's wife. You
Brian
don't know Brian's.
Austin Green's wife. How no, what is her name?
Who?
This is literally gonna oh, Sharna. Sharna.
Oh,
There we
Shauna.
go.
Yeah, yeah. Shauna was really nice. She was cool.
She was cool. We had her on like
She's
a
very cool.
while
But you
back.
know who was not nice, and she sucked, and I have no problem saying
We
was.
we don't even need to say her name.
I think you guys know who that is.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to number seven, Dex.
Number 7, Garth Brooks is now considering leaving the U.S. after this whole being accused of sexual abuse. I guess he's considering heading to Ireland. Him and his wife apparently had gone to Ireland recently and loved it so much that they are considering heading up there, getting a house in Emerald Isle, and moving there. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Like this is probably the worst publicity Garth Brooks has ever received. For this whole thing, he's being accused of sexual abuse against this makeup artist that used to work with his wife, and she accused him a lot of things, like basically showing up naked in hotel rooms and asking her to touch his penis and coming out of the shower and groping her and like all kinds of stuff. And so now he's like that none of this is true. She was trying to extort me for money. He claims that for months that she was trying to get him to pay a bunch of money to make this lawsuit go away. And so after a while he just filed a lawsuit against her and saying like, look, you can't extort me. Hush money is hush money, and I am not going to do this shakedown. But I think this has been pretty embarrassing for him. I think it's been embarrassing for his wife, his children, because the makeup artist is also accusing him of raping her and while working for his wife. So this has gotten pretty nasty. There's been a lot of threats and allegations. So we'll see how it's all plays out. But he is a huge deal in Ireland, like a massive deal in Ireland. So I think he's like, let me go there. People like me there. I want to head up.
Can't blame him. Listen, I think it's not a bad decision. If you're not happy here, go there and start a new life. And I think
Mhm.
he's just really upset about how the whole situation came about. It's just
This was his quote. He said, "For the last 2 months, I've been hassled with no end with threats, lies, tragic tales of what my future would be if I did not write a check for many millions of dollars. Hush money, no matter how much or how little, is still hush money. In my mind, that means I'm admitting to behavior I am incapable of. Ugly acts no human should ever do to another." And so, yeah, he's not happy right now.
he's not happy. Will he actually move? I call bullshit. I don't think he's going to
Yeah,
do it.
he's not gonna move.
I think he was doing. Yeah, he's not going to move. I'd be
I think
very
it's like,
surprised.
oh, we like this place. It'd be fun to move there, but he's not going to get up and move.
No,
No
he's
way.
not doing it.
He's got
Uh,
kids here, the whole thing. No chance.
this story was a big story. The whole Garth Brooks situation in general. Like,
Yeah.
I was surprised how many people were clicking
Dude,
on
he's a
the story that first
massive
broke out.
star.
He is.
Massive country star.
I mean, he probably
And
goes
the
on the Mount Rushmore of country stars.
yeah, and I think the allegations were so nasty and it seemed uncharacteristic of him, that's why it caught a lot of people's attention. When you're getting accused of rape, you're getting accused of, and not only that, it's with a woman who's working with your wife. So everyone is like, there's another layer of just like scandal there. This is the woman who's working with your wife, and you're out there trying to hook up with her and have a relationship. There was accusations of him wanting to have a threesome with them, like all kinds of gross stuff.
Yikes. Dax, number 6.
Ryan Reynolds, not happy about Martha Stewart's comments. If you remember, Martha Stewart had basically said recently that he is very serious off camera, and he is not quite funny, not like really fun to hang out with. And when this story initially came out, I actually thought of you, Adam, because you had said before, him and Blake, when you see them in the streets, they're not always as friendly as they appear in like other public situations. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, he's not. Granted, I'm not going to explain how he is dealing with the paparazzi, because he's sort of annoyed and kind of works when he deals with them. I'm sure he doesn't enjoy the paparazzi filming him as he's on his way for his kids to school. But I've seen him at different times without cameras and stuff like that, and he's not like that personality guy. He's not. He's like a fun guy, and it also it's hard to be on all the time. So I do want to give him that,
that bit of grace.
That bit of grace, because it's hard to be on all the time, and it's not fun to be on all the time. However, I do think that he was kind of difficult to be around for a while, and his career kind of slowed down for a little bit. Then he did Deadpool, which kind of brought him back to that witty, sarcastic guy that people loved. Here's a good-looking, strong guy that's witty, sarcastic. People loved him again. So I don't. Ryan Reynolds is probably Martha. You only met me twice.
Yeah,
but for Martha's side, you kind of get an idea of what someone's character is from a little bit.
I agree.
Not the full thing, but you kind of get a taste of their character.
Especially if you're at a party or an event, like you can kind of see what someone's like. And if you're kind of around them and you're going, man, I really expected something different out of this person. And so you're like, okay, whatever. I met him once. You met him a second time. They're still like not that exciting. I could understand her saying that. And she said she'd rather hang out with Brad Pitt or George Clooney. But he literally said, I've met her twice. I'm actually confused of why she would say that. And I'm not surprised that this kind of got under his skin, because Martha Stewart is someone who I feel like is fun, and she's hanging out with Snoop Dogg. She says fun things. And so to get kind of dissed by Martha Stewart probably really got under her skin, and their neighbors nonetheless. So, that's going to be awkward when you run into each other at Costco.
Yeah, no, for sure. I will say, if you've been around Ryan and like what Martha said, like George Clooney feels like he'd be fun at a party. Brad Pitt seems like he's actually cool at a party, like very chill. Ryan Reynolds, I don't think is good at a party.
Mm-mm.
That's my personal opinion. All right, moving on instead of shitting all over Ryan Reynolds. Number 5.
Kristin Cavallari says Britney Spears reached out to her after she claimed that Britney was a clone. So this was like a big deal. This was on her podcast a little while back. She had basically said, I met Britney a while back. I went to one of her concerts, and she just goes, I think she's a clone. And this episode of her podcast got a lot of publicity, people talking about it. And then she ends up getting a call from her publicist, and this, by the way, she's talking about this all in her like recent episode of Let's Be Honest, her podcast. She goes, yeah, he calls me and says, guess who wants your phone number? And he goes, it's fucking Britney Spears wanted her phone number. And so they got onto a group chat, and then her publicist, Britney's publicist, was on there, and her publicist, Kristin's publicist, and Britney, and they start like chatting it up and texting back and forth. And she didn't want to disclose what exactly those text messages were. But then Kristin said, okay, I went and I texted her on the side and just said, hey, I'm not in California very often, but when I'm out there, let's hang out. Like, let's throw this under the rug and let's hang out. And then she never texted her again. And that's when she goes, what the fuck? Like, this woman never responded. Now I know you're a fucking clone, and I don't think it's you, and I don't want to hang out. And she basically started railing on her. And I'm surprised that she's talking about all of this on her podcast, but I think she felt really like used and abused by getting into this group chat and then realizing like this is all fake. This is not a real friendship. She doesn't really care, and she really, now she goes back to she's a clone.
Yeah, again, this is another Kristin Cavallari really keeping her name out there again. And it's funny what her PR company's doing. They're sending clips. So like, hey, here's a clip. And then here's another clip. So as soon as they get that story post, they post another and then another and another. And this story came out obviously during a slow news week, which makes news. So there's nothing else to click on. Therefore, it did good traffic. I think it's a stupid story, to be honest with you. But I think I get it. It's a Britney. We're talking about a Britney clone. Like, come on. This is such a stupid story that somehow news outlets picked up because they had nothing else to write about. Some writers like, hey, we got nothing else to write. I need something to pitch. Oh, here's Kristin Cavallari. She also said a thing in the news saying her next guy, she'll only date men with vasectomies. She just split with her young boyfriend. And I guess she doesn't want any more kids. So that became a news story. Like, oh man, this is what news is. I mean, maybe I should
that one. Like, I understand why that one got so much press. Like, saying that's not like a normal statement people say. It's like, I'm only gonna hook up with guys with vasectomies. Like, that's not normal. She's like, I want to hook up with a guy that already has kids, that doesn't want any more. Like, it's a pretty mature statement, and I think you wouldn't expect her to say that, and that's why I understand why that one got as much press as it did.
And here's the other thing she was saying. She was saying that a lot of celebrities, since she became single, there's been a lot of celebrities in her DMs asking her out, which if I was a celebrity, I would stay away from her because she's the type of person that would just release the tea and just say, oh, this person hit on me. And look, she did that with Bobby Flay. Obviously he came on the podcast and they spoke about the misinformation or the miscommunication more. But I don't know. I feel like she's just
if we
too
dip
out
in her
there
DMs,
and just looking for content.
We might get some some press on our podcast.
You should send her a DM and just see if she looks at the DM. That's what I'd be curious about.
I'll just say, hey, what's up? It's been a long time. Last time I saw you, you're in Santa Monica.
Oh, dude, you should totally see that. And just to see if she responds and checks the DM.
That's literally the last place. That's the last place. I ran into her on 3rd Street in Santa Monica like years ago.
That's so funny. Was she cool?
Yeah, she was totally cool. She was there. She had some boyfriend at the time. And I don't know if it was, I don't remember. It was a long ass time ago. But she was totally cool. Totally fun.
Yeah. I'm just curious, if you were to send her a DM, how quick she sees the message. Is she one of those people that like sees it right away? Mm-hmm. I have one celebrity that doesn't follow me on DM. I don't want to say their name. But I have one celebrity that doesn't follow me on Instagram. But we DM each other a lot. And whenever I DM them, they DM me right back.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
like they don't want to be seen as your friend.
They don't want. I mean, that's pretty common these days. So I'm used to that. But they just, I think it's because what I do, they don't want to become publicly friends with me because they don't want to see, oh, I'm like the inside. They're friends with a guy like me because I'm like the dirtbag of Hollywood.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I don't follow you either.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I follow you, but. When you go to Home Depot, I follow you. I'm in bushes. I follow you in different ways. I just want to see what your creepiness is up to. Dax, number 4.
Brianna Chicken Fry claims she was blocked by Zach Bryan. And this is all after their big, very public breakup. And then it sounds like she's actually about to release this diss track about the singer. It may already be out by now. But I always feel so silly saying Brianna Chicken Fry. It sounds so dumb, but Brianna Chicken Fry LaPaglia is her actual last name. She's obviously on Barstool. She has a big podcast, the BFF podcast, where she's on with Dave Portnoy and Josh Ritzers. But they've talked very publicly about the split because he just kind of ditched her and she was blindsided by the whole thing. And Dave Portnoy has come to her defense. He's been ragging on Brian, just saying like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Well, now they've come up with a diss track about him, and I don't think he's gonna care. What do you?
No, he does care, Dax.
You think he cares about a diss track by Dave Portnoy?
So he got the song taken down a little bit on social media and like YouTube, and he had like Warner Music kind of go after like the copyright of the music to get it taken down. They're able to get the song back up. He blocked her on social media, obviously, like we said, but yeah, he doesn't want this. He blocked, I think, Dave and all those guys from kind of messaging him on social media. So I don't think he just doesn't want to. He's like, dude, I'm past this. I'm
It's
done.
good.
And
It's good press. At the end of the day, it's still good press for you.
yeah, but he also doesn't really need the press. Like I have to say, he's a legit artist. Like people love his music. They didn't like him because he was dating Brianna Chicken Fry, a social media star. So at the end of the day, I think that Dave or more Brianna is a content creator. She needs to make content about this because what you can do is just publicly say, hey, this is what happened. He blocked me and that's what's going on. But she's like pushing and she feels duped by him, which she has the right to feel upset. But at the end of the day, she needs to create content and keep her fans interested in her life. So she's going to keep talking about it because it does bring in numbers, which numbers is money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I understand her side, but he's not going to address it more than enough. I don't think he cares enough. I think he does care. Obviously, he blocked them on social media. He got for a little bit the song taken down, but he's like, I'm not going to go crazy about it, but I'm going to do whatever I can do. I'm not going to put more money or campaign around it to get this thing taken down. But again, you're dealing with content creators that need to make content around it.
I've got some more details on it. So it's a 5-minute diss track, and
it's good. It's a funny song.
Yeah, it's called. Brian calls it ugly. He calls Brian ugly and a bitch, and he accuses Zach of cheating. And the diss track is called "Smallest Man." And then, so I can read. You want me to read some of the lyrics from it?
Sure.
I said, trust me, caught your pants on fire. Tinder, Bumble, Raya, knew you were a liar. You're a dog. You're a douchebag. You just made a new rival. Pretty soon you're going to need a new revival. Let me get that some more. You fucked up. It's about to get gory. Go post on your Instagram story. You say you remember everything, but I guess not because you forgot about your wedding ring. Anyway, there we go. I'm not going to read 5 minutes worth of lyrics because God, that's going to be bad and everyone's going to tune out. But that's essentially what it's about.
The song is funny. It's good. I'm curious how long they're going to keep this storyline. Brianna's going to keep this storyline kind of going. I mean, at the end of the day, you guys broke up. I know it's tough, but how do you make lemonade out of lemons, I guess? What do you say? So, yeah. All right. That's it. Moving on. I got not much more to say about it. Come on. Number 3.
Number 3, Teddi Mellencamp filing for divorce from her husband, Edwin. This is one day before announcing their split. This became pretty big news this week because she has requested primary legal and physical custody of their 3 children. They've got a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and giving him visitation. But basically, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills alum filed for divorce after 13 years of marriage, citing irreconcilable differences as the reason for their split. And that they were filed on November 1st, like I said, one day before she publicly announced the news on social media. And she listed their separation date as October 20th. She's asked for spousal support to be awarded to her, but requested to terminate the court's ability to award support to him. She also requested primary legal and physical custody of their 3 kids, with reasonable and frequent visitation for him, and that he would be responsible for all the attorney's fees and costs. And then per the docs, the couple's property assets and debts are unknown at this time and will be determined at a later date. I don't know what went wrong so quickly. I can tell you that when I was in Vegas, when I saw them last, I saw them at BravoCon. I saw them in like the bar of the Four Seasons. And she came running up. Apparently her husband was the one that actually was a big TMZ fan. So he was the one most excited to come talk to me. But I sat there and chatted with them. They were very lovey-dovey that night. So something happened in the last year. They seemed like they were good a year ago. Very interesting to see how this plays out. But hopefully, you got 3 kids. Try to make it peaceful.
Yeah, I did. So far, do we think this is a peaceful divorce? I know they were I saw a report saying they were going for therapy to kind of work on their issues, but is this I was surprised by them because we thought everything was going so well, but
yeah. And I had reached out to her couple of months back, did you see the massive scar she had on her back because she had surgery? So we
Yes.
both had melanoma surgery, so that's why I hadn't reached out to her. The scar she got, like it looks like they took out 3 feet of skin on her back by the size of scar she has. It's unbelievable. So I'd reached out to her, just kind of wishing her well from her melanoma surgery, but it looks like they got everything. She had clean edges, but she's gone through a lot in the last year.
Yeah, she's cool. We'll hope for the best. And I think people are just surprised by this whole divorce. I didn't think they saw it coming,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they will be okay on the other
People really
side.
hate on her though. I don't know if you've ever people like talk so much shit on her, and then
Why?
again, maybe because I'm not a huge housewife fan, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not watching all the drama unfold. She has always been awesome to me, just like Tamara's been awesome. Vicky's been awesome. All these people have been awesome. So I have nothing bad to say about them. But woo, she stirs people up, man, and I don't know what it is. Okay, well, we got some new information that is breaking as we speak. Brianna is now talking all about her split from Zach Bryan, talking about how nasty it was and unleashing a bunch of claims about the country star, who she claims was emotionally abusive throughout their relationship. So she talked about this on the BFF podcast. This is the episode that dropped on Thursday, making some claims against him. And it is nasty, saying that basically Zach made her life hell since they first started to get together back in 2023, claiming that several days after they decided to split their ways, she is still, quote unquote, terrified of him. She said, the last year of my life has been the hardest year of my life, like dealing with the abuse from this dude. Like, I'm still scared right now because I'm like scared of him still. My brain's rewired. I'm scared to make him mad. She went on to insinuate Brian recently offered her cash in an attempt to buy her silence. Come to find out that amount is apparently or allegedly $12 million. And that would be in order for her to sign an NDA, which she rejected. She talked about the infamous like Raya profile screenshot that went viral on social media, revealing that she got a bunch of DMs from people reaching out to her saying that Zach was on the dating app, and that she allegedly responded with that he reactivated the app when confronted, which is why she claims he posted all about the breakup, but he got caught. What's more is that she said there was a lot of isolation and manipulation in the relationship, giving the example of Zach allegedly not liking her Golden Globes dress and not wanting to date someone who presented themselves like that. So he unfollowed her, but then he later reposted the dress snap, claiming that she was beautiful, among other examples throughout the podcast. Brianna claims that there was never a breakup conversation, and the relationship ended with Zach telling her he just couldn't do this, only to head back to Oklahoma by himself. And so definitely go check out this episode. It is quite a bumpy whirlwind ride, it seems like. Haven't listened to it myself. I'm obviously only reading all of this because it just dropped. But yeah, it seems like she did not want to take this big $12 million paycheck because she was like, I don't want to look back in 2 years and be like, dang, I bought this house and this is just the money that I got from the dude who destroyed and broke me for a year. She goes, screw that. I don't want your money. So anyway, crazy stuff. I'm assuming you're going to hear a lot more about that. And I can tell you that there was a moving truck that was spotted outside of Luke's Massachusetts waterfront mansion. So it appears that she is officially moving out. He bought that property situated, it's like an hour south of Boston back in July to be closer to her. But seems like she is getting her stuff and getting out. So buckle up. It's going to probably just keep getting nastier between those two.
All right, Dax, number 2.
Oh, this is a sad story. Quincy Jones, legend in the music industry, passed away this week at the age of 91. I mean, unbelievable talent, and someone that the world is going to very much be missed. He had huge albums, earned 80 Grammy nominations. He died on Sunday. I guess his publicist, he said he passed away peacefully Sunday night at his home in Bel Air, and he was surrounded by his family. And, this guy's career is unbelievable. I don't think people understand what a big deal that Quincy Jones's life really was. But I can tell you some of the crazy things is he narrowly escaped the Manson murders, which I think is so fascinating. He was supposed to be at the dinner party that night at Sharon Tate's house, the
Wow.
night that they got murdered, and he forgot at the last minute to go, so he never showed up. And then next thing you know, they're all killed, and he happened to live through that. His song "Fly Me to the Moon" was actually being played in Buzz Aldrin's, I guess, helmet or whatever he was chosen to play during the first moon landing. I thought that was kind of a fun fact. He helped introduce the world to Oprah. I mean, so
Yeah.
many
He
stories about.
produced he produced Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah,
That's like his production company. I mean, the guy was just, but he was also had some unique situations too. I mean, he talks shit about publicly talks shit about the Beatles. I think so. It's just a
he
very
railed
unique
on the
guy. He said
Beatles. He
Elvis was
said,
a racist. Said that Beatles were
"Yep."
the worst musicians in the world. Yet celebrities wanted to have, they all wanted to have their number. It's just like
But think about this.
just a fascinating guy.
He produced Michael Jackson's Thriller album. And then
Wow.
he was behind the Color Purple. That's why Oprah and Whoopi Goldberg, like he helped like really rocket launch those careers, those acting careers. He's done so many things and won 28 Grammys, putting him the third on the list of all-time winners. I mean, just a remarkable, remarkable talent.
Was he, a guy like him, do you consider him like a visionary? Was he good in business? Was he just getting opportunities and taking advantage of opportunities? Like just
I think he
he was
just
able
had
to,
insane talent, and
but
people
what was
latched
his
on
exact
to
talent, would you
talent.
say? What was his talent per se?
Producing. I think that's he was a composer, a songwriter, a performer. He like was this gifted artist, on his own, and so that's why everyone wanted to work with him. He worked with Aretha Franklin, Frank Sinatra, Paul Simon, like we said, Michael Jackson. He did so many things, and that's why, like, you start working with someone like Michael Jackson and you produce Thriller, trust me, everyone's going to want to work with you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I'm sure. It's funny. I mean, this is sort of, you don't realize the job, how producers and like these other jobs, you don't realize what they do because they're so behind the scenes. It's not a public job. And
Mhm.
yesterday I was on the set of Happy Gilmore 2, and I was with the first unit directing team. And there's the team that's also directing like some of the parts with Adam and the speaking lines, but there's other teams directing these little 2-second parts of the movie that go without any, like, you don't even think about it when you're watching the movie, but that little 1-second part, let's say where a hand touches the stick shift of the car and goes boom, boom, like in Fast and Furious, you know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about? That
Yeah.
1-2 second, that takes that alone, that shot takes an hour to put together.
Yeah.
Like getting everyone to make sure the lighting's good, make sure it's accurate, like the timing of moving the clutch of the car. So I was kind of with that team. To see them make the movie was pretty unique.
I
Um,
also wanted to say, I didn't realize he also did Michael Jackson's Off the Wall album and Bad. Like, think about those albums and how huge they were. But then, like, to relate it to today, that's like Phineas or Mark Ronson or some of these people that who's the one that works with Jack Antonoff. These people are so famous because they're working alongside of Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish and Miley Cyrus, and they have a name. So those albums, Thriller and Bad, were the biggest albums like in history. And so obviously Quincy became, super, super well known for all that stuff. I just can't say enough good stuff about his career.
Yeah. All right, Dax, the number one story of the week.
Chloe Grace Moretz coming out as gay in a post about supporting LGBTQ rights this past week. So she had posted up on social media basically saying that. Let me find the exact quote. There's so much on the line this election. I believe the government has no right over my body as a woman, and that the decisions over my body should come only from me, myself, and my doctor. And she said, I believe in the need for legal protections that protect the LGBTQ plus community. As a gay woman, we need protections in this country, and I have to access the care we need and deserve. Here's the thing. I already thought she came out. I didn't realize that she wasn't publicly out, because she's been like
Yeah.
linked to a woman for years.
Really? I
And
didn't know.
so
See, I had no idea that there was even like gay. Maybe I just didn't really go into it too much, but I had no idea that there was like a gay speculation regarding her.
she's talked about, she's been very supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. She, like I said, she's been linked to a woman, and I literally read the post before reading this. Like, it popped up on my Instagram. I read through. It didn't even click that that was her moment that she was announcing to the world. I like read right over it. Like, yep, okay, moving on. Blah blah. Blah. I had no idea that this was not like established at this point.
Yeah, I had no idea. The girl who she's rumored to be engaged to is a former Playboy model and photographer. Her name's Kate Harrison. She's 30. Well, Chloe is 27. This girl, Kate, is 33. I guess there's photos of them. They were seen kissing back years ago, back in 2018. It's now
Yeah, see, like
2024. So
this to me was like old news. I had no idea the world did not know this. So, I'm glad I never said anything. I never, not like just assuming that this was already public knowledge. So
yeah, no, I had no idea, but I just yeah, she came
good
out.
for
So
her.
do you? But let me ask you this though.
I like when people feel themselves and confident and comfortable to talk about this, because I can't imagine what it'd be like to not be able to speak your truth, in such a public fashion as, living in the public eye.
Yeah, and know what? Chloe's like one of those people you don't hear. You haven't really heard about her a lot lately. Is
Hmm.
for at least me. Like she at one point was like a very big star, and she still is. However, she's been very like I feel like kind of quiet.
Yeah. Well, when she was dating, who was it? Brooklyn Beckham. I felt like we were talking about her quite often, because that was a kind of a big celebrity,
Sure.
dating thing. You've got David Beckham's son, you've got her. She was blowing up all over movies and stuff. And then she kind of pulled back out of the, I would say, spotlight a little bit. But this definitely has become a huge story this week.
All right, that is our Raw rundown. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on Red Coral Universe, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Leave a comment right below. It really helps us out. Give us some stars. Leave us subscribe, like and subscribe.
By the
Follow
way,
us
I
on.
let a bunch of people into the private Facebook group this week.
Oh,
So
nice.
come join us on Facebook. It's called Off the Record. Just go to hollywoodraw.com. There's a link to our private Facebook group. You can come, you can request. You know what's funny? So when people go to request, they say a celebrity that they would be interested in having on the podcast. What's funny is it's all these newer people that don't know our archive. And so they're like, you should have Heather McDonald on. I'm like, we have. You should have Spencer Pratt on. I'm like, we have. You should have on Brian Austin. We have. Like, it's amazing. I want people to go dive into our archive. There are so many good interviews that we've had over the last couple of years that no one even knows about. And huge celebrities have stopped by. Kelly Osbourne, Larsa Pippen, Justin Bieber's bodyguard. Like, we've had so many great people that I encourage you, go dive into it, because we got a lot of good stuff.
Someone actually did leave a good suggestion that I reached out to this week. I didn't tell you, but I haven't heard back either. Is Croy Bierman to come on the podcast?
Ooh, that would be interesting.
So thank you for that. That's a good suggestion. Sometimes.
And
we
by the
need
way, we've had
suggestions.
Brielle. We've had his daughter.
I like Brielle. Brielle's very cool. All right, we need Kim. Kim will be really fun if she could actually talk or be real. All right, thank you guys for follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Like Dax said, find me at Adam Glyn. Follow Dax Holt at Dax Holt. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Guys, hope you liked that video. We got a lot more where that came from.
Hit that bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend. The best thing you do to support us is really doing that. And we really need the money because we need hair gel.